It was a stinking hot Saturday arvo in suburban Brisbane, the kind where the air shimmered off the concrete and even the cicadas sounded knackered. Katya and Lachlan pulled up in his dusty ute outside his parents' brick veneer McMansion in a quiet cul-de-sac in Carindale. The front yard was manicured to within an inch of its life, with a Hills hoist out back and a gleaming Weber barbecue already fired up. Lachlan, a tall, lanky bloke in his late 20s with sun-bleached hair and a perpetual surf tan, squeezed Katya's hand as they walked up the driveway. "They'll love you, babe," he said, though there was a slight waver in his voice. Katya, with her striking dark hair tied back in a neat ponytail, porcelain skin, and sharp green eyes, just smiled serenely. She'd heard the stories about Cheryl and Bruce, proper bogans at heart, despite the mortgage-free house and the annual cruises. The moment they stepped through the sliding door onto the back patio, the family descended like seagulls on hot chips. Cheryl, mid-50s, bottle blonde with roots showing, wearing a bright floral caftan that strained at the seams, enveloped Katya in a perfume-clouded hug. "Oh, you must be the famous Katya. Lachi's been rabbiting on about you non-stop." Her voice was loud, Queensland loud, the kind that carried over backyard fences. Bruce, barrel-chested and red-faced from the sun or the beers, stood by the Barbie flipping snags in his stubby shorts, thongs, and a faded green and gold Wallabies jersey from the 2003 World Cup. He gave Katya a once-over, nodding approvingly at her sundress but with a flicker of something else in his eyes, suspicion, maybe. Aunties, uncles, cousins, and a gaggle of kids were already sprawled across plastic chairs and eskies, coldies in hand, the telly blaring the Boxing Day test replay even though it wasn't Boxing Day. The smell of sizzling onions, prawns, and lamb chops filled the air, mixed with Aeroguard and sunscreen. Lachlan introduced Katya around the circle. "This is my fiancée, Katya. She's from Ukraine, moved here a few years back." Smiles all round, but Cheryl wasted no time. As soon as the small talk died down, she plonked herself next to Katya on a wicker chair, leaning in conspiratorially. "So love, where'd you really come from then?" Lachlan said Ukraine, "but you don't look very, Slavic or whatever." She said it with a chuckle, like it was harmless curiosity, but her eyes were scanning Katya's features, the high cheekbones, the fair complexion that could pass for half a dozen European nationalities. Katya, who'd been chatting fluently in English with Lachlan for the 2 years they'd been together, decided right then and there that today wasn't the day for full disclosure. She'd overheard enough whispers from Lachlan about his mum's concerns, worries about foreign girls, and visas and all that rot. Katya tilted her head slightly, widened her eyes in faint confusion, and replied in a deliberately thickened accent, "Sorry, no English good." "Ukraine, yes. Kyiv." She blinked innocently, folding her hands in her lap like a schoolgirl. Lachlan, standing nearby with a VB in hand, nearly choked on his beer. He shot her a sideways glance. "What the hell are you doing?" But Katya just squeezed his arm tighter, her nails digging in just enough to say "trust me." Cheryl, undeterred, raised her voice as if volume would bridge the language gap. "Ukraine, Kyiv, that's nice, love. Cold there, eh?" The cousins snickered. Bruce flipped another snag and muttered something under his breath. Inside, Katya was seething already, but outwardly she kept the sweet, bewildered smile plastered on. She'd come to Australia on a student visa, finished her master's in IT at UQ with honours, landed a cushy job in the city, and met Lachlan at a beach party on the Gold Coast. Her English was better than most locals, no slang missed, no idiom misunderstood. But today, meeting the in-laws for the first time, she'd play the card they clearly expected. Pretend to be the wide-eyed immigrant who barely understood a word. Let them dig their own hole. Lachlan looked panicked, whispering as he passed her a lemonade, "Babe, why are you doing the accent thing?" She just smiled wider and shrugged, murmuring in Ukrainian something that sounded like agreement. The barbecue was just getting started, and the real fun hadn't even begun yet. The Barbie kicked into high gear as the afternoon wore on, the sun beating down relentlessly until someone dragged out the market umbrella. Snags were charred to perfection, prawns peeled and devoured straight off the grill, and the esky was raided constantly for 4X Gold and Bundy rum cans. The kids ran amok in the pool, screaming and splashing, while the adults yelled over the top of each other about the cricket. Australia was smashing someone, as usual. The telly was cranked up inside the alfresco area, Shane Warne's commentary booming out every few minutes. Cheryl, emboldened by a couple of Sauv Blancs, kept circling back to Katya like a shark smelling blood. She'd drag her over to groups of relatives, announcing loudly, "This is Lachlan's girl from Ukraine." Then, turning to Katya with exaggerated slow speech, "Do You like Australia? Katya nodded enthusiastically, replying in broken phrases, yes, very nice. Hot sun, good beach. But whenever the questions got nosy, she'd switch seamlessly to German, a language she'd learned fluently during a year abroad in Berlin before moving down under. Entschuldigung, ich verstehe nicht, she'd say softly, tilting her head with that innocent blink. Excuse me, I don't understand. Bruce joined in eventually, wandering over with a fresh beer, wiping onion sweat from his brow. He clapped Lachlan on the back a bit too hard. Good on ya, son, snagged yourself a stunner. But mate, he said, turning to Katya with a wink that wasn't really a wink, hope you're not just here for the visa, eh? Ha! He laughed heartily, slapping his thigh, but his eyes were dead serious, scanning for a reaction. The uncles nearby chuckled along awkwardly, one muttering, classic Bruce. Katya just stared blankly, then turned to Lachlan and asked in her thick accent, what'd he say? Lachlan went beetroot red, stammering, nothing, Dad's just joking, babe. Inside, Katya was cataloguing every word, every smirk. She'd heard the stereotypes before, Eastern European women as gold diggers, mail-order brides chasing Aussie passports. It infuriated her, but she kept the mask on. Cheryl tried again later, sitting Katya down with a plate of pavlova and interrogating her about food. Do you lot even eat proper tucker back there, or is it all just that beetroot soup and vodka for breakfast? She said, borscht, like, bullshit, drawing laughs from the table. Katya shrugged helplessly. Food, different. Potato, yes. Good. Then, when Cheryl pushed about family, so your parents, they all right with you moving so far? Or are they hoping for a big fat Aussie dowry? Katya hit them with another Entschuldigung, ich verstehe nicht, complete with a confused frown. Lachlan was sweating bullets now, pulling Katya aside near the pool fence. Babe, what's going on? You speak English better than me, you roast me for saying, pacifically, instead of, specifically. Why the act? He looked genuinely baffled, half whispering so no one overheard. Katya glanced over at Cheryl, who was already gossiping with her sister about how quiet the girl is, then turned back to Lachlan with a mischievous wink. Trust me, she whispered in perfect Aussie twang for just a second, before slipping back into character. No worry, Lachlan groaned, running a hand through his hair. He loved Katya's fire, her independence, but this was next level. The relatives were starting to murmur, sweet girl, but bit slow on the uptake, eh? And Bruce kept topping up his beer, eyeing Katya like she was a dodgy used car salesman. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows over the manicured lawn, the conversation turned to weddings. Cheryl was already planning in her head, chattering about venues on the Sunshine Coast. Katya nodded along, vaguely, letting the subtle digs fly right over her, uncomprehending head. But every word was landing, sticking like Barbie sauce on fingers. She sipped her lemonade, smiled sweetly, and waited. The powder keg was filling up nicely. Things finally went properly pear-shaped when the crowd thinned out a bit, some cousins taking the kids home for naps, others dozing in hammocks. Cheryl seized the moment and cornered Katya in the kitchen, under the pretense of helping with the salad. The kitchen was air-conditioned bliss compared to outside, all gleaming granite benchtops and a double-door fridge plastered with grandkid photos. Cheryl handed Katya a pair of tongs and a bowl of cos lettuce, tomatoes fresh from Bruce's veggie patch. Here love, you chop these while I do the dressing. Girl's gotta know her way around a Caesar salad for Aussie Christmases. At first it was light, questions about Katya's job which she answered vaguely as computer work, her flat in the city, how she and Lachlan met. But then Cheryl dropped her voice to that faux conspiratorial whisper Queensland mums perfect over years of coffee catch-ups. She leaned against the counter, wine glass in hand, eyes narrowing. Look, Darl, we're not racist or anything, God no, we've got neighbors from all over, but Lachlan's our only boy, you know. Our baby. We just wanna make sure you're not gonna take him for a ride, yeah. We've heard stories, haven't we? Girls from over there, Eastern Europe, sometimes they're just after the citizenship, the lifestyle. Marry quick, divorce quicker, take half the house. Not saying you're like that, but a mum's gotta protect her son. She said it with a tight smile, like it was reasonable concern, stirring the dressing vigorously. The words hung in the air like smoke from the Barbie. Katya froze mid-chop, tongs hovering over a tomato. For half a heartbeat, the mask slipped, her jaw tightened, eyes flashed. She'd dealt with microaggressions before, the casual xenophobia that Aussies sometimes disguised as just asking. But this, direct from her future mother-in-law. In the kitchen of the house where she was supposed to feel welcome. Then, slowly, deliberately, Katya set the tongs down. She turned to face Cheryl fully, wiping her hands on a tea towel. And when she spoke, it was in perfect, crisp English, clear as a Brisbane winter morning, with barely a trace of accent, the kind honed from years of podcasts, uni lectures, and debating Lachlan over footy tips. "Oh, Cheryl," she said calmly, voice steady but laced with steel, "I understood every single word you've said all day. Every single one. The comments about my looks not being Slavic enough. The jokes about visas and borscht and vodka. The whispers about whether I'm here to take Lachlan for a ride. All of it." Cheryl's face drained of color faster than a stubby left in the sun, then flushed bright red, ripe tomato, beetroot, whatever cliché you want. Her mouth opened and closed like a goldfish. What, you speak English?" she spluttered, backing up against the fridge. Outside, the sizzle of leftover snags and the distant laughter suddenly seemed miles away. The kitchen fell dead quiet, save for the hum of the aircon. Katya didn't raise her voice, she didn't need to. Flawlessly, she continued, "I have a master's degree from your country's university. I pay taxes. I vote. And I came here today excited to meet my fiancé's family, not to be interrogated like some dodgy import." Cheryl tried to backpedal, hands fluttering. "No, love, you've got it wrong, I was just..." But the words died. Katya picked up the tongs again, resumed chopping with precise, angry slices. The tension was thick enough to spread on toast. And that's when the shouting started, not from Katya, but from Cheryl calling for Bruce in a panicked squawk. Bruce stormed into the kitchen like a bull at a gate, thongs slapping on the tiles, face already thunderous from hearing raised voices. "What's all this bloody racket?" he bellowed, beer still in hand. Lachlan trailed behind, having sprinted from the patio where he'd been chatting with his cousins. The rest of the remaining family peeked in curiously, sensing drama thicker than Cheryl's pav meringue. Katya wasn't backing down an inch. She stood tall, arms crossed now, meeting Bruce's glare head-on. "I came here today," she said, voice steady and unwavering, "to meet my future family. To share a meal, laugh, get to know you all. Not to be quizzed like I'm some dodgy mail-order bride scamming my way into Australia. If you can't treat me with basic respect, not suspicion because of where I'm from, then we'll be leaving. Right now." The room went pin-drop silent. Even the cricket commentary seemed to hush. Cheryl spluttered indignantly, "You've taken it all out of context. I was just concerned, that's all. Any good mum would be." Bruce muttered under his breath, loud enough for everyone, "Bloody sensitive snowflakes these days. Can't even have a yarn without offending someone." But his bluster rang hollow, his eyes darted away, knowing he'd contributed plenty to the pile-on earlier. Lachlan stepped forward, placing himself between his parents and Katya. "Mum, Dad, that's enough," he said firmly, his usual easy-going vibe replaced by something harder. "Katya's the best thing that's ever happened to me. She's smart, funny, kind, and yeah, she played yous a bit today because apparently that's what it takes to show how you really feel about foreigners. I'm disappointed." The cousins and aunties shifted awkwardly in the doorway, whispering. One uncle tried to lighten it with, "Or, it's just a misunderstanding," but no one bit. Katya wasn't done. She looked Cheryl straight in the eye. "I pretended not to understand because I wanted to hear the truth. Without filters. And I did. Every ugly assumption." Cheryl teared up now, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, mumbling apologies that sounded more defensive than sincere. Bruce grumbled about political correctness gone mad, but poured himself another beer instead of escalating. Finally, Lachlan took Katya's hand, gently this time, supportively. "Come on, babe, let's go." They walked out together, past the stunned relatives who parted like the Red Sea. No one said goodbye properly, just awkward waves and averted eyes. The kids stared wide-eyed from the pool. As they reached the ute, the gravel crunching underfoot, the weight of the afternoon lifted a little in the warm evening breeze. Katya slid into the passenger seat, buckling up as Lachlan started the engine. She looked at him, the anger fading into something resolute. "Next time," she said, a small smile creeping back, "we're having the wedding in Kyiv. Snow, borscht, the works. And your mum can pretend she doesn't speak Ukrainian." Lachlan burst out laughing despite everything, half terrified of the fallout, half proud as punch of his fierce fiancé. "Deal," he said, reversing out. "And I'll teach her some choice Ukrainian swear words, just in case." As they drove off into the suburban sunset, the barbecue smoke fading in the rear view, Katya felt lighter. Boundaries set. Truth out. Whatever came next, reconciliation or not, she'd face it on her terms.